Brendon O'Connor is the Associate Professor in American Politics at the University of Sydney's US Studies Centre. Brendon, good to talk to you again. The Republicans talking about a constitutional crisis. Is that likely because of these kind of reforms?
Probably a bit overblown. I mean, they're going to argue that this is an illegitimate process. They're not going to argue on the issues. They're not going to say, well, these immigrants should be deported. They're going to want to argue that Obama has overreached on using his presidential powers. But Congress had the opportunity to do this. The majority of senators and the majority of people in the House of Representatives supported this idea, but it was the leadership of the House that held it up because of various factions in the Republican Party. So Obama, in some ways, I think on fairly strong ground. It's popular, and the Congress had a big opportunity to pass this legislation.
And of course it satisfied a very big constituency, the Latino vote, that really put him in the White House in the first place, and one that he felt he really owed.
Yes, and it's smart politics as well. This might cement, Democratic presidencies for at least the next two elections. So if the Republicans are offside with non-white Americans, with younger Americans, the Democrats can do very well in presidential elections. They can't do so well in midterm elections, as we saw recently, because some of these people don't turn out to vote as regularly in those elections. But it is very good sort of demographic kind of politicking on Obama's behalf, and I also think it's something he truly believes in as well.
I'm interested in your observation of Barack Obama since those midterm elections, even his comments during the G20 towards Australia over the barrier reef, and now this kind of action. Is there that sense that he is not going to, use these last 2 years for no effect at all?
There was a little bit of a sense, I think, in both speeches that he seemed very relaxed, kind of liberated, that, the nonsense of Washington politics is maybe behind him. He doesn't have to, compromise as much as he's tried to. He came in with a message of wanting to be someone who could, bring the two sides of American politics together, and that really hasn't worked. So I think he's got to try something new, and I think this will energise at least those who supported him and thought he was a real breath of fresh air to begin with, particularly on the left of American politics. So I think this is probably an interesting and probably the right tactic for Obama to go with.
How much, though, can he do this? He would have to tread carefully, though, with using those executive powers too often, you'd imagine.
Yes, I mean, the court of public opinion will be really interesting on this, whether he can take the public with him and then maybe use these sort of executive powers possibly on issues to do with the environment will be interesting, or whether even these immigration laws will fully get through. The Congress has ways of stopping the funding of these laws and really holding Obama back on them. So this will be, I think, fought out in the court of public opinion as much as it will be fought out in the US Congress, and the Republicans don't take control until next year, early next year. So there'll be this kind of lame duck period where Obama, I think, will try to push a lot of things through, and Republicans will push back by making threats and saying they're not going to allow Obama appointees to be nominated.
Now, with the laws that he brought in, he announced, how much does that, though, resolve the ongoing issue of immigration for the US, with this wave of people coming from South America still trying to get there?
Well, he said he's going to double the number of border guards. So I think there's a want to say, look, the immigration system is somewhat broken. There's probably 12 million people illegally in the United States. You've got to probably deal particularly with the people who have children or people who came to the United States very young. It wasn't their fault. So this would take up to about 5 million. There's another, obviously, 7 million or so people there, people still coming regularly. So it doesn't solve everything, but 5 million is very significant. And I think the families and the extended communities of those people will really praise Obama for this and see him as a bit of a saviour in some regards. So as I said before, this will have really lingering impacts on cementing particularly the Hispanic vote to the Democratic Party.
And as you suggested, would do no harm to Hillary Clinton should she nominate for president or whoever is the Democratic candidate.
Yes, in many regards, this is kind of wedge politics with the Republicans. If the Republicans are seen to be the party that opposes Hispanic immigration or new immigrants to the United States, is seen as inflexible, too tough, this may really hold their candidates back, and that was the case with Mitt Romney. He did very poorly with the Hispanic vote. So I think there's a sense that any Democrat is going to benefit from this, and any Republican is largely, I think the presidential candidates will largely want to be on the sidelines saying, OK, well, you know, we're not so sure about extending presidential powers in this way, but I don't think too many of them will be racing to get on the record to say, look, we shouldn't be letting these people come to the United States.
Brendon, great to talk. Thanks for your time.
My pleasure.